Now then, crew, and welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. Now this hopefully will be the last episode, episode 3 in the Poolaris saga of lost reversed gear. We've done the extraction of the gearbox from the vehicle. Craig came down for episode 2 and we did the full rebuild. Didn't replace all the components, we just replaced the parts that needed to be replaced. And we did that as a step-by-step process. So if you've got this job to do, I'm sure you'll find that video super helpful. And there are lots of elements of the service manual, related to in that video: torque settings, specs, all that kind of stuff. In this video, I now have to reinstall the gearbox back in the vehicle, basically a reverse procedure of episode 1. I won't go into quite so much detail as I did in episode 1 because, hey, you'll have already watched that, no doubt. And you'll have a pretty damn good idea what needs to be done. Remind me though, I do still need to refit that roll pin on the front yoke that goes to the diff at the front of the vehicle. There was absolutely no need to remove that. I have no idea why Polaris asked me to do that in the manual. My apologies. I could have edited it out, but if you have the manual and you're trying to follow that step by step, then it's good to know that it doesn't need to be done, because it could have been an absolute saga getting that roll pin out. As it turned out, Big Nasty, my air hammer sent to me by Jim Haynes, did the trick brilliantly. Absolutely amazed me how quickly that roll pin came out once I used that particular tool. Now, this vehicle is used on farm, and as you will have seen in previous videos, the amount of earth and animal excrement and other bits and pieces lurking around the chassis of the vehicle was pretty horrific, to be honest. I've done some gardening, swept most of it out, so we're pretty clean and we can crack on and get this gearbox in. Okay, are you ready? Right, roll the credits. Used.
You don't paint something without warping.
Honestly. Now, one thing that I did do after we took the gearbox out is I refitted the fuel rail. That's going to have to come out before we lower the engine in because it's pretty damn tight. All the dirt, well, 97.6% of it has gone. The biggest part of getting this gearbox back into position, other than dodging the fuel rail part or the injector that will still be there, is we also need to align and engage the prop shaft onto these splines here, look. So it's going to be very steady away, a bit of jiggery pokery, but we should get there. Once it's in, then we can start to get it buttoned up. And then when the brake pipe turns up, which is, Craig has confirmed it's this one, the left-hand rear needs to be replaced, there'll be enough clearance to get in there. I'd rather do that before I fit the CVT drive, but hey, who knows what's going to happen. Now, because we've got to engage that front prop shaft onto what they call the snorkel in the manual, I don't know, we're not going through any rivers at the moment, but not to worry. I'm going to enroll the help of Ben because, you know, being able to lower the winch, move the gearbox around and engage the prop shaft all at the same time on my own is going to be very difficult. With Ben's help, it should be much easier. So let me go and find Ben. I think he's working on his patrol at the moment, and we'll crack on. Right, Ben, I've removed the fuel rail again. And like you mentioned a minute ago, we've got no drive shaft bits, so we're probably a little bit better off than we were before. But we need to realign or attach the front drive shaft as it's going down. So you have to, I think we might have to get it in and then just lift the back of it up, maybe to tilt it. I don't know yet because it's very hard to tilt at the moment. But yeah, we've got you to help, which is the important thing. So we'll lower it down. So I think we have to twist it a bit, don't we? Stick it over there. Right, you ready? Yeah. It's a bit jerky, unfortunately, so we're very, very careful of that injector. Got clearance?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That went in a lot easier, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Right, let me just see how far off we are with this drive shaft. Alright, so move down a bit. Maybe a bit of grease on the spline as well. Stick a bit of grease in there. Can't have too much grease. I'll stick a bit of grease on there. Probably can't have too much grease actually. Right, there we go. Okay, that's well greased. Nobody can tell me if I'm not greasing that now. Okay, I don't think it's key spline, so it should be. Right, it needs to go. Oh, is there any way you can swing the back end towards you a little bit? No, just give me a bit more. Hey! Oh, hang on. That sounds quite good. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what we needed, Ben. Right. Give it a rive. Okay, so we're coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that. Right, I think we'll just park it on the bottom for now. I think I can pretty much manipulate the whole thing, so we can take the chains off if you want. We have landed. The eagle has landed. Look at that. Cool, yeah. Is that everything?
Yeah.
Oh, all white. Always in all white. Very useful little winch, that, isn't it? I wish it was on a gantry there.
Yes. But your roof's just a
Even
little
more
bit low,
useful.
isn't it?
One day it might happen. There is a special tool that's supposed to go between here, the crankshaft, and the input shaft of the gearbox to set the distance exactly. I asked Craig if he had that, and he doesn't have that.
Does that mean there's a bit of float in these brackets then?
Well, yes, I imagine that there is a little bit of float, otherwise you won't be able to adjust them.
Yeah.
It's probably only a couple of mil, but Polaris is very susceptible to misalignment of the belt.
Ah, okay.
Unfortunately. See if I can get one bolt in at least. I think I've failed already. How are you getting on?
Well, I'll tell you when I've got one in.
The nose needs to go a lot higher, doesn't it? So maybe I can hold that for you.
I've got one in.
Maybe we'll do your side first, and then we'll do my. You got two in now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Three in.
Cool.
Four in.
Looking good? Okay. Right, said Fred. So if I give you...
You got the backing plate?
Yep, if I give you the back plate, so it goes that way around, I believe. Yes, bigger gap between the two top bolts. And then tell me where you want the gearbox.
I want it leaving exactly where it is right now.
And we'll just buzz them in lightly, but I don't want them tight because I've still got the rear mount to fit.
Yeah.
Leave about maybe a mil gap, I would say. extension bar.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you done all yours?
I'll do this one last one by finger.
Right, I've got one that still needs to catch on its threads, which is this one. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's looking pretty good, isn't it? Excellent, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Right, Ben, this is the rear mount. It said stick it out in one piece, but that proved to be absolutely impossible. So, I'll need those. You need that, and that fits. There's a hole here and a hole here. So you take the nuts off, push it.
Oh, okay, goes
yeah,
like
push it through.
Doesn't matter which way up, does it?
I don't think so, unless you can see an arrow saying up on it.
It looks symmetrical.
It does, doesn't it? Right, I'm going to find the other 3 bolts for the gearbox. He says with complete confidence. We'll put them on finger tight for now. It'll give us a bit of wiggle room.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure we're going to need that.
It's a little bit of a pain in the exhaust there.
Yes. I think some of the design of this, some of the designers weren't speaking to other designers.
Oh, it's the anti-roll bar. That's real close, not the exhaust.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Don't need that. Take it off. Okay. Now, that's the top. So I think that's your side. Yes, that'll be your side. You have that one. And we'll put the bolt through the bush last, I think. So
okay.
You pop that one through the top one. There's another one. And that's your last one. Okay, and this is the other half. So if we pop that down there, so you can get those threads started. Let's see if I can find a socket. I think they're a bit smaller, that one, isn't it?
Maybe a 13.
Should be able to get in from the side there. So again, just maybe about a mil gap, if you can, because we'll need a bit of wiggle room to get this last bolt in. Looks like the gearbox has got to come up quite a bit. Okay. What do you reckon?
We need to go forwards.
Forwards. Looks pretty good this side.
Okay, up. There we go.
Give it a wiggle. Cool. And we'll just let it sit where it wants to sit, I think.
Oh yeah, the little 3.
Yeah, the little ones. Okay. Perfect. I'll go around and tweak them all. Excellent.
Don't forget your front mounts, sir.
No, I won't. I'll tighten those up. That'll do me. That was quick.
Yeah, that was easy.
I was expecting lots of swearing going on. Now, we will take a look in the manual once Ben's gone to show you that special tool to align the gearbox input shaft with the crankshaft. Very important on the Polaris CVT drive. We had a couple of Sportsman X2s, didn't we, in England, the quad bikes?
Yeah.
And they had to keep going back to the dealer because when you're in drive, in forwards or reverse, but you're at idle, so the bike shouldn't go anywhere, they used to creep forward. There used to be some drive going on, and that was due to misalignment of the 2 pulleys. It was really annoying, actually, and customers didn't like it, so we had to get it fixed every time. And they said, oh, it needs to be re-shimmed, Andy. What? Anyway. Right, Ben, so that's done. You can crack on with your patrol now. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'll give you a holler if I need any more help.
Easy.
All right. See you later. He's a good lad, is Ben. Really is. Helps me out immensely. Okay, so this is the section in the Polaris service manual for the Ranger, the 570, that relates to the alignment process between the crankshaft and the input shaft of the gearbox. So we'll just zoom in. So it says here, install the clutch center distance tool onto the crankshaft and transmission input shaft. The pictures below show the tool properly installed. So the tool obviously does a few different vehicles, and if you've got the tool, it's the outermost small hole on the crankshaft and the innermost large hole for the gearbox. Unfortunately, we don't have that tool. There's an overhead shot there, look, as well, that shows you how it lines up. And the part number is PU50658 or PU50658-A. If you want to order one of those in advance, then you'll have that for the job, and I would highly recommend that. So there's some more information over here. Look, it actually gives you all the different vehicles that particular tool, the one with the A at the end, will fit. So it does all of these machines. Ranger 570, there, look. That'll be ours, 14 to 21. So that's the one with the A, and it's obviously got a lot more different holes in it and stuff, so you've got to make sure that you use the right holes. I imagine there'll be some instructions will come with it to let you know which holes are for which models. Now, I hate not having the right tools. It's partly my own fault, to be fair. If I'd known this was a requirement, and I should have really thought about it, given the history of Polaris vehicles that I've had over the years, I could have made a tool, assuming the alignment was correct when we took it apart. I could have made a tool with a bit of steel bar, 2 holes in it, drill the holes to suit, have a measure up, make sure they're in the right place, so that it just fits onto the crankshaft and onto the gearbox input shaft. And then that way I could have now fitted that back on to align everything up. I wouldn't have had to buy one. I didn't think to do that. I made a mistake. I should have done that. So if you're planning this job on your vehicle, you can now either buy the special tool, because it is important, you'll kick yourself if you don't do it, or you can make your own before you disassemble. So once you've got the CVT drive out of the way and you've got the access to the crankshaft and the gearbox input shaft, you can measure it all up, make a cardboard template, whatever, and then you can make the tool. Basically, a bit of bar and 2 holes to drill, but they will need to be accurate. That's the thing, they need to be the right diameter to suit, especially the one that goes onto the gearbox shaft. Now, I've discussed this with Craig, and Craig said she'll be all right without the tool, because he hasn't got one. So I'm just going to plow forwards and bolt everything up, and if for some reason we have drag when the vehicle's in drive and at idle, then we'll know there's a pulley misalignment problem. And removing the CVT drive, taking it back off again, now that we've cleaned the input shaft of the gearbox, should be a relatively simple job. And I can then realign the gearbox with the crankshaft. Yeah, this could bite me on the ass. It really could. But forewarning to you guys, you'll need that tool. Okay, let's crack on. We've got some more bolts to do up, and then I don't know, what's next? Okay, so I was looking for a torque wrench for these bolts, for these plates that go between the gearbox and the engine. And there's a whole section here on how to perform that adjustment if there is a misalignment, i.e. you've got drag when you're in idle in gear. And we can skip forward a bit because the gearbox is already, has been out. Clutch carry distance tool, there you are, there's a part number. But over here, step 6, this is what got my attention. With the tool now properly installed, and you've got to imagine it's installed for me, in sequence, torque the 8 engine to transmission coupler bolts to specification. So that's the order. So this that's the front of the vehicle down there. This is the back of the vehicle. There's the gearbox. So as you sat in the vehicle, the right hand plate is where we start, number 1, which looks like it's the upper forwardmost bolt. and then you can see the rest of the sequence on there. So we do that one, then we jump to the other side and do the rearmost upper on the left hand bolt, and so on. Now the torque setting for those bolts is 75 Newton meters. Wow. Okay, and then we've got obviously the rear bolts, the torque for that mounting. That's a rubber mount, so I'm not too concerned about that at the moment. Right, let's crack on and do those. Now, for your viewer convenience, I've gone around and labelled up in black the order these bolts need to be tightened up. So, hopefully the camera won't be too much in the way. We will do this. There we go. First one done. Jeez, that's not feeling good. I'm not tightening that one any more than that. She feels a bit givey. Oh, there we go. I know on the Yamahas that I work on, where they have a separate engine to gearbox, like the Wolverine X2s and X4s, there's a big aluminium casting that goes between the engine and the gearbox, rather than, you know, mild steel plates. It's a far better setup on the Yamahas, to be honest. And there's some really easy adjustment as well that you can make when needed. This seems a bit Heath Robinson to me. Right, number 7, here we go. There we go. Okay, one more to go. Oh, a bit givey again. Oh man. No, that's not getting any more than that. It's nerve-wracking, isn't it, you know? You're wondering, is it going to crack one of the lugs off the engine on the casing? Is the bolt going to strip? Is the captive nut going to strip? You know, prudence is important in this game. Those 2 bolts, they didn't feel great, to be honest. They hadn't started to strip, but they just didn't seem to be getting any tighter. You know, the resistance wasn't increasing, so you know, alarm bells start ringing, you go, ooh, I think that'll be just enough. Don't want to cause ourselves a world of problems. And besides, you know, 6 out of 8, that's not bad, is it? Okay, let's take a look and see what the torque setting is for that rear mount to the chassis. Boom, 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 boom. Zoom you out a bit. Scroll up. Oh, here we go. Torque. Stop doing that, laptop, thank you. Never used to do that. Number 7, torque the 2 rear transmission isolator fasteners. Number 3, that's the 2 nuts at the rear, to spec. And the spec is 54 Newton meters. Do the easy one first. As always. 54. Please don't snap off. Please don't snap off. There we go. And the top one, just. We'll leave that one as it is. Damn. I think the quality of these Polaris' bolts leaves something to be desired. Be careful, people. I've not snapped any yet, but that top one, if I kept going, that would have snapped. Okay, let's take a look and see what we need to do next. In fact, I know what we need to do next. I'm going to refit the starter motor. Here we go. Now, just before we fit the starter motor, we need to remove the wooden wedges that we put under the engine for when the gearbox was out. Otherwise, we won't be able to get to them. Right, just bear with me. I'm going to be reaching in there. Oh, there we go. that was easy. Right, one more to go. This one's not as easy to get to. Oh, there we go. Not too bad. Now, before you push the starter motor in, there's an O-ring just here. Look, make sure you put a bit of grease on there. You'll thank me later. There we go. Now, remember to put the lower bolt in before you try and fit the starter motor. Otherwise, you ain't going to get it in. We proved that earlier on. They don't tell you that in the manual, do they? There we go. Looks like it's all the way in. See if we can get that in by hand. Get it started at least. Now there's very, very little clearance between that bolt and the top of the gearbox casing. Remember we had that problem, we couldn't really get much of a spanner on it before. With the CVT drive cover out of the way, at least we can get a ring spanner on, but there's not enough room in there for a ratchet spanner just yet. I'm not in a rush, and I can edit this bit out anyway, can't I? Just, you know, start the bolt going in, and then when it's finally snugged home. It might be a bit of an issue getting a torque wrench on here actually as well. 10 Newton meters. That's all it is. But them 6 bolts, you don't want to strip them out of the engine casing. That would be really bad. Oh, we did it there now. Look, just keep waffling, Andy. They'll keep their attention. You're all good. Right, you won't go all the way in. I want to get the other one started. That'll do. Okay, where's the other one? Now this one is a stud. So I'll pop them in there, look. I'll pop them in there, look. What's going on here? There we go. So we'll wind it in. I'm not sure whether, well, I suppose the stud has to come out really, I suppose, isn't it? Yes, it does. So we'll just nip that up. We'll just nip that up, and then we'll go and find a torque wrench. Might need a deep socket for that one now. There we go. They are snugged. Okay, torquing wrench. Yeah, that's not going to fit in there, is it? Can we do this one? Yes, we can actually. That's it. That's all you get. Jeez. Nobody is ever going to torque this one up. Ready? Click. That'll do. Okay, we've now got the grounding wire to go on there and the positive to go on there. Positive on there. Oh, that's tight. Jeez. Oh, my spanner's got furry from all the grinding stuff on the floor, look. There we go, that works. Right, stick him on there. Did he go up like there? We'll put him up like that, look, I think. I don't remember how he was. He doesn't want to be too close to the, well, it doesn't matter too much, does it? But a bit of clearance would be good. Now, what's important with these, I mean the cables that feed your starter motor power, is you really should hold the nut underneath. You don't want the stud twisting when you tighten it up. And it needs to be reasonably tight, you know. If you ever get any high resistance under there, it can cause a problem. So let me go and find a slimline spanner to go in there, and then we'll just nip it up. Okie dokie, will that fit? Oh, just. Okay, we can tweak that up to 10. There we go. Done. And now we can put the cap back on. Now you could, if you wanted to, if I was servicing this machine, I could have wire brushed those contacts first. It'd be a good idea if you're doing the job. There we go, that's on. Right, where's the negative? Negative coming through. Well, what does Derek call it? The sad cable. That's the one. Been watching lots of Ice Grip Garage recently. Very cool. I like what he does. Very much de-stresses me. Does that. Great. Some really good creators out on YouTube. So impressive. Really is. And the same with these contacts, you can give them a good wire brush before you put it back on. Okay, right, let's just get the old skinny spanner again, give that a tweak. That'll do, grommet. It may not quite have been like that when it came off, but I'm damn sure that's going to work. I can't remember if I actually filmed taking the solenoid off here or not, but I put a bit of, just to give me more room, I took it off. And inside there, remember I mentioned to Craig, there was a little spring. Very important, so make sure your spring's in and all the way down, and then we can put the solenoid back on. It's a good idea to take it off if you're taking the gearbox out, because this casting here won't be that strong. We know that from other experiences, and you know, this is a considerable chunk to be hanging off the side, and if you clunk that against the chassis, then you know, you could cause yourself some pretty big repair bill. Okay, that's on hand tight. Just needs a little tweak, doesn't need a lot. That'll do. Perfect. Now we can plug that back in. There was a cable tie on here, so I'll reinstate that. There we go, look. There we go. Now there is a hole just there, so we're going to make use of that, and we'll tie the whole thing back. Oh, wrong way around, Andy. What are you playing at? There we go. What's Ben up to? Not doing his patrol. Right, we'll stick that in there. That should do. It's just going to hold it all out of the way. And remember to cut your cable tie at an angle, ready for the next mechanic to come in and cut himself on it. Oh, it's not too bad, I suppose. That'll do. Right, what's next? Bum, 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 bum. Okay. What's it say over here? Ah, the bloody handbrake thing. Shift bracket cable stuff. Probably best to put that on before we fit the airbox and stuff. So torque the two shift cable bracket bolts to spec, 23 Newton meters. Now remember, on our machine, we've got that external handbrake that mounts on the same two bolts. That's going to be fun. Remind me though, hang on, 23 Newton meters. I'm going to forget. Okay, let's go and fight with that quality piece of kit. Alrighty, so I've removed well, pushed back the pin for the gas strut for the tray, because we removed that before. Because the cables sit below the pin in the same yoke. Now, this is not going to be fun, and you know, I don't envy you having to do this. This is clearly an afterthought by Polaris. Just going to make sure I get a pad either side of the disc. It's quite important, Andy. It is. It's very important. What a horrible, horrible thing. Looks about right to me. Yeah, we've got an outer pad. So I've got an inner pad. Okay, let's see if we can get a bolt in without any, just to help get it started. Oh yes, the bottom one was a pain, wasn't it? Where's the bolt hole? Is that going in? It is. Right, we'll just gingerly loosen it back out. A bit of handbrake component, it should have thread lock on it. So we will stick some thread lock on. Probably out of focus as well, but apologies. Less is more. That'll do. That'll do, grommets. Okay, that's going in. I'm just going to wind it in a bit more. We're not torquing it yet. Right, that'll do for now. Now the bottom bolt, we had to lift the engine a bit with a crowbar to get a socket on. That's going to be a pain. A real pain. Alright, I moved the suspension, the upper suspension arm up out of the way. We'll just stick some more thread lock on there. We're going to go for it. There we go. Don't fall off. Okay. At least we've got the easier one in, so we can't be too far off with this one now. Should have grabbed Ben again, but we'll struggle on, as we do. Not under the disc, Andy. Please don't do it under the disc. I'm not under there. Nope, there's nothing there. Okay, hang on, that might work better. Didn't have to give it too much to get it out. Sorry, Torchy, you're in the way. How's that? Can you still see people? I think it needs to go down a lot more. You can see the dilemma here, can't you? The great design. Come on. I think we might have won. Wow. Talk about luck. Right, socket's on. 23 Newton meter. Oh. Jeez, is that it? Good luck with your handbrake. Right, let's do this one. Right, well, the thread locked in and the torqued up. That actually was easier than I thought it was going to be. Now, given the cables are in back where they need to be, we can pull that pin back through. I don't want it to fall out because I had no new parts arrive yet, so you know. Oh, where's the clip? There we are. Don't want to lose anything, so we'll stick the R clip back in there for now. That's for the gas strut for the rear tray. So it's weird that the cables run underneath that, but it is what it is. Ooh, we're getting there. Right, next job. This cable, this is your gear linkage cable, your gear cable from the dash. Looks like it needs to go one more click that way. There we go, stick him on there. There was a washer. And then, funny, not really an R clip, but a weird little clip goes on there. There we go. Done. Now, just before we plug up the wiring on the gearbox, on the right hand side of the gearbox, we've got a bracket to refit. Now, it looks like it's this bolt and this bolt, but we've already put them in when we rebuilt the gearbox, so these obviously need to come out. We've got a missing one here, and there must be another one missing somewhere. So I'll find that. Who knows where it is? But we'll buzz those two out now so we can get the bracket in. And these are the two bolts that came out with the brackets. I know that they're right. Right, we'll wind those in. And then we'll torque them up later. There we go. And that's where the harness clips to with some cable ties. Nice. Oh, we can stick this one back in, can't we? Stick him in there. God knows where the other one is. Wait. Okay. Let me have a hunt round, see which one. I didn't think we were missing anymore, but we must be. There must be one missing somewhere. That was lucky, wasn't it? Phew, wasn't one of the ones underneath. Right, we will talk that down right now with the rest of them. I had to check again. 27 Newton meters for all the bolts on the casing of the transmission. If I don't do it to camera, you'll remind me in the comments, Andy, you've not torqued those bolts up, have you? Well, that was definitely torqued enough. Right, this one. There we go. It was this one, wasn't there, as well? One more to go. I'm so pleased it was this one. Couldn't have been a better one to have left out, really. There we go. Perfect. Ah, here we go, look. Zip tie, snippy snip. Okay, so that runs across there. And we've got stuff like TPS, and stepper motor for the idle speed control valve, and yeah, so that runs across. We'll just leave it loose for now, and I'll put the zip ties on last, just so we can move this around to suit. Now, I took this sensor out, I think when I was taking out the drive shafts and hammering the crap out of everything, so we need to stick that back in now, don't we? Probably a speed sensor, I'm guessing. And it was covered in metal filings, so it's good we took it out and gave it a clean, because it won't like that. Sensors get upset when they have metal filings stuck on them. And again, 10 Newton meters for the M6 bolt. There we go. It's a 3-pin plug, and it's the sensor furthest back, so I imagine, well, it's going to be this one, isn't it, to be fair. So I'll pop them back in there again. Oh, look at that. Pretty good. Okay, now there was also, I think, the gear selection sensor to do, which is that big black one that I refitted with Craig. It's behind here. You know, it's so useful when you film what you've done previously. I had to check. It's the plug with the blue bit of plastic on it, which goes into this gear selection sensory, rotary sensory thing. So we'll plug that back in there. There we go. Right, said Fred. I was just looking at the rest of these connections, and that one looks to be injector. That one is stepper motor, idle speed control valve. That one's TPS. Air temp sensor maybe on the airbox? Not entirely sure, but it's definitely on that side of the vehicle. So, I think, given the fact that all these go up, I'm just trying to work out wire lengths and stuff. And there's some more clips back there as well. So I think maybe about there. That should fit into wherever the stepper motor is. I think it's on this side. I want to get it right. Because once the throttle body's in place, it's going to be a real pain moving these around. We've got to leave enough room for the plastic shroud as well. It seems to sit... Oh, I reckon it's going to be there because we've got... Yes, there's some little marks there, look, on that white tape. So we'll see if we can get that threaded through my eyesight. Well, come on. Ah, it's turned around, look, it's twizzled. Okay, now it's going to work. Yes, there we go. So I'll have that one. I'm being very careful because I've got lots of stuff balanced on the side of the chassis at the moment, so it's all going to end up on the floor if I'm not careful. Right, so on that yellow, on that white mark, that's that one. We know we're right now, don't we, you see? Bit of thought going into it. Good job, Andy. Good job. Things are usually there for a reason, aren't they? Okay. Right, we'll snip those off because it'll do a nightmare with the focus on the camera. Okay, we've got two more to do a bit further back. Okay, not the best view in the world, apologies. So we'll pull the old clip out. We've got another clip down there that needs pulling out. There we go. Okay. So, obviously important it's kept away from all moving parts, otherwise chompy chomp chomp. And then you're buggered, aren't you? Your error codes and your dash goes out and somebody says, well, it was fine before you worked on it, Andy. Yes. Sometimes you just got to put your hand up and say, yeah, you know what? Forgot to put the cable ties on. Damn it. Okay, got one more down here. So we'll bring you up here so we're not in the way of the camera quite so much. And then it looks like we've got that breather pipe to sort out, haven't we? The one that was on ridiculously tight, so I'll have to find a new clamp for that, I think. There we go, not too tight, but tight enough. Good job, that'll work. So, I noticed on the breather pipe, oh, it's gone now. Look, there was a lot of mud in the end of there, it's gone. This is the end that we hacked, and it's not quite, I didn't cut it quite square with my side snips, so I'm just going to use my special cutters for pipe. These are really good, I bought them years ago. And it should, in theory, almost cut through. A little bit, yeah, it got squished in it. Right, we'll just finish that off with my knife. Still square there. A lot better than it was. Right, it's just a hose clamp required now. Okay, now to aid fitment, yes, that's the one. Oh, it is blocked. I'm just trying to... Oh, it's disgusting. Right, I'll get an airline and blow that out. That's not too bad. Right, pipes unblocked. There you go, fixed. Right, we will stick some of the Forge S420 silicone just a little bit, because it was really tight to get off before. I found the original clip. We're going to reuse that because I can't get to my clip drawer at the moment. There's too much stuff in the way. Right, I did put a bit of a glove to blank it off, so I'm going to get rid of that first. There we go. That'll work. Now, I don't actually know where this breather pipe is supposed to go. Let's have a look in the manual, see if it's in there. Oh, so much easier, look at that. That'll do, about there, look. Right, bullnose pliers. It really is a shitty little clamp though, is this? Oh, God. Ugh. Bear with me, people. Yes, it's on. Twizzle it round a bit so it's out of people's way. There we go, that'll do. And then we'll find a home for this end, hopefully later on. I'll stick it down there for now. Chances are it was down the bottom because it was full of mud, just dangling around. Okay, as soon as we've got the cycles in the hand, let's just get rid of this off here, off the injector. Don't want any crap going in there either. It's exactly why you wash vehicles before you start working on them. Okay. Right, we'll get the fuel rail back on because we've got to do that before we fit the throttle body, I think, really. Now, there's a couple of little lugs on here that have to line up with that the plastic lug on the actual injector itself. And the blue seal, I think it's a nitrile seal, is inside here. It hasn't ever come out, so we'll stick that back on there. A lot easier to get off than it is put on, to be fair. It's usually pretty damn tight. I've had this on and off a couple of times now. Hopefully the seals are still going to be good, because I don't have any more. There we go. But yeah, I just didn't feel comfortable leaving that on and having a gearbox swinging around. I'm surprised I didn't tell you to remove it in the manual, to be honest. I would definitely recommend removing that. Don't try and pull the injector out though. This one didn't want to come out at all. It was very happy where it was. Ready? 10 Newton meters it'll be. Click. And again, oh, I've got a torque wrench. No, I haven't really. Click, click, click. Click. Just check. Click. There we go. Right. We'll leave that on for now. Okay, we need to get the throttle body on. But before that, I need a break. Yes, my phone is going flat. So I'm going to take a break, put it on charge. And in the meantime, we'll have a word from tool girl Holly. Holly? No? Holly? Ah, there you are. Right. Over to you, Holly. See you shortly, crew.
Damn, Andy, you're looking incredible today.
Thanks, Holly. Damn, she's good. She really is. Now, airbox. Remember the debacle that we had trying to get the airbox out with the throttle body in situ? So I'm going to try to fit the throttle body and airbox as one piece. Could go tragically wrong, or it could be a real neat trick. Only one way to find out. Here we go. So, where the throttle body connects to the cylinder head, we have an O-ring. And just feeling this O-ring is it's incredibly squashed. It's not really protruding, in which case it's no doubt probably not going to seal very well when I refit it. So I'm going to put some goo on there. Same stuff that we used on the gearbox casing. As Craig would say, way too much, Andy. That's right, but we'll just spread it around a little bit. I don't want loads to go down the intake manifold, although the engine will just chew it up, I'm sure. And we can just dispose of any excess, can't we? Because we don't want this thing going back with an air leak, if we can help it. Okay, I reckon that's more than enough. Keyboard warriors. I wonder what Ben's doing. That looks pretty good. Happy with that. The important bit is it's not, oozing on the inside, and we've got a bit of a gap around there to allow for a little bit of movement. There we go. Okay, let's go see if our trick's going to work. It might not. Now, there is one thing I need to do before we put that throttle body airbox combination back on the vehicle, and that's connect the crank angle sensor, which is this plug here, look. So we'll plug him back in there. Are you the right way around? You must be the right way. No, maybe not. Wrong way around, Andy. There we go. Did that click in? Yeah, it feels pretty home to me. There we are. That's it. Done. Okay, I think he just sits under there. Right, so we've got... Can't plug any of this in yet. We'll stick it all down that side because it all plugs in that side, I think. Okay, we're pretty clean on there. Get any dust off. I've taken the tissue out as well, so we're all good. Right, here goes. Now I've not done the clamp up onto the airbox, just to give us a bit more wiggle room, but I think this might be the best option. We'll try different methods. Oh, look at that! That was much easier. Right, we'll get and bolt in. Did it sit below? I think it must have sat below. Yes, right, just hang on a second then. We'll thread that under the box section at the rear. We've also got that centre. Oh, is that going to be even possible? That's one. Two. Yes. Are we in the bracket? I think we are. Oh, got loads of room. That was still a lot easier than before, fighting with it. Okay, that's one bolt in. Cap head. That was much, much easier. Okay, let's just rotate that a bit. Get that one in. The throttle body sits at a slight angle. Didn't expect that actually. I thought it was going to be, this will be horizontal, but it's not. Right, that was a 6mm Allen key from memory. Nice. What is Ben cutting? I have no idea. He's on a mission. Right, we'll just snug that one up. There we go. We'll come back and tighten it proper in a minute. Now, this one's a lot harder to get to. Apologies for the crappy camera work. We'll just snug this one up as well. And then we'll go and tighten the other one, and we'll come back and tighten this one. But hey, wasn't that a much easier method? Why on earth they didn't say that in the manual, I don't know. Okay. One more. Oh no. Come back. There you are. One more. It's not quite tight enough yet. There we go. Ready? Click. Right. Oh, he's still at it. What's he up to? Right, one more. Click. That'll do. Grommet. Right, I want to get these wires plumbed in before we forget. So we've got a clip here. So this cable to the stepper motor, the idle speed control valve, comes round this side. And it's the 6-pin one, so I'll have that one round here. Must go underneath, surely. No, it must go over the top. Yes, over the top it does. Got the clip there, so it must be that way around. Ready? Wait for it. Did it click? It needs to click. I think that's it. Yes, that was the click that you get. I had to manually move the little clip outwards, but it's locked in now. Pull that round. Little telltale, there's some extra tape on the harness. Not quite in the right place, but it'll do for now. Okay, this will be the injector. So we'll just reach down and plug that in while we're here. There we go, that went click. Nice. Okay, TPS. Let's go and plug that in. So this should be the last plug. There we go, look, 4-pin. In he goes. Okay. That's more like it. This was all meant to be quite delicate with, wasn't it? Click. Nice. Okay, that's all the wiring, I believe. Job's a carrot. It's a bit loose, isn't it? Is there no clip for that one? Clippy clip on there, maybe? Polaris, you know? Be nice. Little clip. No? Okay. It is what it is. It's a Polaris. Okay, airbox underside bolt. Let's see if we can get that lined up and get it through. Oh. Well, that was easy. Question is, have I got enough reach around to get the nut on my own? Probably not. Honestly, Polaris, how the hell are you supposed to do that? You can't get in from the back. Okay, well, I can lift the airbox a bit and that will help trap the bolt in place. And then I can maybe get my chunky butt hands in there. Once the nut's on, we're laughing. Oh, there we go, look. What a pro. And good photography, Andy. It's not often that happens. Okay, ow. Oh, I can't do any more. Poor hand. Right, let's get that buzzed up. Okay, he's on. Ugh. Who designs this stuff? Ready? It's going nowhere. Now, don't forget to tighten up this clamp. It's really important. Otherwise, you'll be getting unfiltered air into your engine. Very, very bad. Oh, sorry, camera. Click. That'll do nicely. Right, hairy filter. No particular orientation. Stick that back on there again. Oh wow. You definitely need a hose clamp for that. Does it clip down? Nope, that's exactly where it sits. Right. Where's the little... There he is. Okay, we can hold that like that. Same size as the last one, which is nice. Make sure he's all the way back. There he is. Okay, make sure he's all the way back again. Maybe I can hold it there. Can it fall off? No, that'll work. Okay, the lid of airbox. Right, hingy bits at the back. Get those into the necessary bits. Oh, it's in, that's it. Geez, that was simple. 1, 2. That'll work. Okay, well, that went extremely smoothly to compared to taking it all out. Normally it's the other way around, to be honest, but we've learnt a bit as we've been going along and implemented, well, common sense and logic to the whole thing. I think now that the throttle body's in, the next job will be to plumb up the fuel line, the high pressure line to the fuel rail. So let's do that, and then that's out of the way. Right, so get rid of that. Bing! Done. Now, fuel pipe was on the side of the frame for us. Get rid of that. And we'll get rid of that. Don't damage the fuel line, Andy. Jeez. Get rid of that. So I've got a floor to sweep. There's so much mess around. Okay, good idea to put the bag on because it keeps all the crap out of the system. And that just really just pops on there from memory. We've got to make sure it's all the way on. And then this little clip goes across. There he is. Right, you ready? That's it. Done. Okay, so what have we got left? Well, we've got the CVT drive primary and secondary sheaves to go back on. I've still got the rust to get out of there with a wire brush, one of those rotary ones. And Andy, don't forget the two little shims. They have to go on the shaft first. Obviously the covers to go on, so the inner cover, and then those belt, outer cover, that kind of stuff. We've got all the suspension stuff still to do. Drive shaft, still waiting on the new drive shafts to come. The shocks. We've got these wonderful intake pipes. One's an intake pipe for the, in fact I think, yes, both of them are intake and exhaust pipes for the CVT drive to keep it cool. They were a pain to get out, especially getting that, that'll be fun, getting the orange pipe in that hole. That's the orange pipe down there, look. Yeah, that'll be a laugh, making sure that that's in. It's all very tight around that area. But it'd be better to get that in first before we do the CVT drive, because I think it'd be even tighter. And it's sort of forward on the vehicle and out of the way once it's in. Nuts and bolts, well, CVT drive cover, inner cover, inner half of those bolts, I think. These are little sealed washers that go on those. I count 8 on there. There's only 7 in there, so we've lost one somewhere. Most of this is suspension bolts and bits and pieces, so I'm not too concerned about any of that. Oh, that's the clip that holds the main earth cable and the power feed to the starter motor. That goes on one of these plastic covers, so we can't fit that yet. So we're making good headway. We've done really all the technical stuff so far. Very, very happy with the way things are going. But I think it's a good point in time to stop for today. Yeah, it's getting late for me. I've had lots of late nights the last few weeks. I'd like to get inside and have a shower, to be honest. So we will carry on in the morning. Hopefully Ben will have finished grinding and welding by then. Probably not. See you in the morning, crew. Well, it's a new day in the workshop and we've got some pipes to fit for the CVT drive. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether it's best to try and fit the pipes in first and then fit the inner plastic guard for the CVT drive, or to try and do it all at once. Don't know. I wonder if the manual's got any pointers. Let's take a look.
Some time later.
Nope. There's nothing in the service manual. I've just searched it from top to bottom and nothing, other than make sure the pipes are clear of debris, which I have. So let's bumble on and see how we get on. Now I'm going from memory here. This is the exhaust, I believe, and it just sort of sat. We've got what looks like a coolant temp sensor under there, this wire here, so I imagine that these two will sit above and it just sort of pokes in there like that, and it'll be supported by the actual plastic piece. So that's that one, and then we've got another one which comes off here, which goes onto the cover as well. So we'll try and fit that one next. We'll have to not tighten the clamp up yet because we'll need to be able to manipulate it from side to side. So this one went on there. A fuel line being trapped between the whole thing. Not enough free play on the fuel line to go on this side, so that must be about where it goes. Should have taken more photos, I think. Really not sure. These don't seem to be in the right position. One of them, they should be staggered. I think we'll put the cover on first. That'll give us more of an idea. We'll leave that one where it is. I'm pretty sure that's about right. Deal with this one later. Right, let's get that cover on. Okie dokie. I've tried to give you the best view possible. Apologies. Okay, well he's lifting up. Now these cables went forward of that because they clip into this. I think on that one there, look. It was a bit of a pain getting it out, I must admit. So. Hang on a minute. Do we need to go in that way? That way, like that, I think. Pull those cables over. There's plenty of movement on the cables. There we are. Okay. It's looking a bit like it. Fuel line on this side. That seems to fit better. It's not that holding it up. Okay, well that seems to be in the right position. We can start putting some bolts in now. One of those sealed washers, rubberized washers, maybe you could call them. We'll get that in there. And that hopefully will sort of hold it in position. Should have brought a ratchet. Didn't bring a ratchet. Oh yeah. Okay, let me get a ratchet and we'll carry on. Okay, we'll just whiz that one up. Don't want to use the impact wrench for this because I don't want to crack the plastic. Feels a fraction more actually. There we go. Okay, we need some more washeroonies. They're not in the greatest nick of these, but to be honest, it's a bit of a budget fix, so we won't worry about that. Yeah, some of the rubber's hanging off on these. Give them a trim. Right, we'll get them all in and then we'll nip them all up, otherwise things might not line up. Feels pretty solid. Okay, we go and find something, or have another hunt round for that last washer. Okay, normal washer and a bit of thread lock. We don't want these falling out. That would be really bad. And it would cause some significant damage to the CVT drive system, so don't want that on my head. Right, said Fred, let's get the easy one on first. And this isn't supported at the other end, it's just on the end of this flange. Now then, I've got a coolant pipe down there. There's no way that that can go anywhere else. I'm just a bit concerned that the metal, we've Also got this wire here. Doesn't look right. It's the thermostat. There's a temp sensor. I don't remember that being over the top like that. Let's see if we can run that underneath. Take it back off again, Andy. Okay. It's a bit Heath Robinson, to be honest, is all this. Pipe. Yeah, okay, let's put both of those underneath, I think. And it runs very close to the exhaust, actually. Not that it matters because it's an output, but that feels better. That feels a lot better. Stick that on there. Okay. That looks about right. We'll go with that. It might change as we get further into this job, but who knows? We might want some spray on it. That's binding up. Bear with. Spray. Black Magic will be good for that. Let's see if we can free the little bugger off. Okay, we'll try again. Oh yeah, mint. I like it. Right, that's not coming off. Just straighten that up. Okay, one is on. Woohoo! Alright, this other one's going to be an absolute arsehole now. I think that'll have to go underneath. Now you're probably going to be in the way, and we're going to start cursing. But anyway, so we've got a large diameter end and a small diameter end. Small diameter goes up, and this is the large diameter by the looks of it. It has to be, because you know that's all we've got. So wiring, I think that's going to have to go. Yes, it's going to have to go below. Feels a bit tight, but anyway. So we'll stick him on there. Way torchy. God damn it. Very, very hard to film. And to be fair, I might not even include this in the video. We'll have to see, won't we? Right. Pull the harness round the other side. Thread that down a bit. Holy moly. Try and get that clamp down there as well. Who would have thought? Right, I'm going to move you up to the top now. Okay. Let's see if we can get this on. Wiring harness is very much in the way. Go on, buddy. Jeez, that's a tight fit. Ooh, here goes the knee. May never get up again. It's sort of on. I think that's about as good as it gets. That's better. Okay, let's see if we can get this one on first. Wow, just traps the harness. As you can see there, look. Pull the harness down. Oh, there we go. Right, make sure it's all the way up. It is. Get the clamplator in the place. Right, number 8. 8 mil. Okay, from the top or from the bottom? I remember the clamp sort of sits, it tucks up behind there, look, which is inaccessible. So we'll just put it there. I think there's enough of a flange to cope with that. I did pre-oil these clamps. Okay, that might work. Come on, just bite. So I can use the ratchet. There we go. Right. Next mechanic's going to hate me for that. Let's try and get it down a little bit more. What a crappy design. Anyway, it is what it is. Well, that's definitely tight. No, that's not going to come off. Okay, let's focus on the inner one now. Okie dokie. So we've got a few bits going on. This is your fuel pipe. This is the wire to the temp. Oh no, that's HT lead. That's the power to the coil over, and that is your temp sensor. By the looks of it. God, we've still got that red pipe still to fit, haven't we? See if I can pull that down out of the way for now. Jeez. It's a very busy little area, is this? There we go. Okay, right, you're sort of free and ready for connection later. Kills the camera view, but anyway, sorry. Alright, so we just got to get this hose clamp in position. Let's get that out of the way. There we are, look. Right, the hose is all the way on. Let's see if I can thread my ratchet down. Cool. Look at that. Make sure we're positioned right, because we're not doing this twice. Seems pretty good. Okay, retracting, torchy. So a quick double check. Okay, I like that. That feels solid, not going to go anywhere. Perfect, that's those two done. Woohoo! Right, so before we fit the air intake pipe to the air box, whilst we've still got some access, let's fit that clip that holds the two main power cables, the negative to the engine butt casing and the heavy cable positive to the starter motor. Okie dokie. Well, it just goes round the cables, there's no sheathing. So I would suggest that way around. like that. And then that will go through there. They've no doubt put the nut on the inside. That goes through there. Jeez, then we've got to try and get the nut on. I know we can use Mr. Impact Wrench to help thread it on. Hang on. So I've got something to push against. Way, nearly lost the nut. There we go. Right. Spanner. Reach around. Spannery. Done. Whew! That was easier than I thought. Okay. Cables are waiting to short out. Well, they won't short out, but unless they both rub through, it should be fine, shouldn't it? Okie dokie. Well, we know we're right on this wiring because there's a telltale there. Look what it's been. Where this super hard conduit that Polaris uses started to eat into the plastic casing. Fantastic. Okay, so this drops down through there. Ah, yes, and I remember there's a bolt now. So we can now connect, I know you can't see too well, but I'm going to connect that red pipe onto there, so it's done. Now I think the fuel line, it wants to be, in fact, I'll bring you a bit closer because you need to see this. There you go. So I think the fuel line needs to go above, like that, yes, okay. So we can get that pipe into there now. One click, two, there we are. So he's in, he's not going to go anywhere. And now we can get it onto the airbox because there's a bit of movement on that red pipe, so we're all good there. That gets sandwiched between. What do we catch? Oh, there we are. Look, that's it. Okay. See if we can get you started. Come on, mister. There we go. Right, that needs to clear the wiring harness. There we are. Oh. Right, so we can get him tightened up. Just got to clear that wiring. Oh, there we go. Okay, make sure it's all the way on. That's the one. Not too far by the looks of it. Okay, again, pre-oiled clamp. Bring it up so it matches the other one. Not too tight, Andy. Don't break it. Okay, we've got the other end to clamp up now. Okay, so that should just pop on there. He says. There we go. That's about as far in as it's going to go. Again, pre-oiled. That's not going anywhere, is it? And I've put it far enough down to be able to get in. And there was quite a bit of flange on there, so I think it's going to fall off. Okay, there's a retaining bolt to go in next. Now, based on the limited number of bolts that I've got left of this size, it has to be this one. Okay, so it's a flanged bolt. It's got a tapered thread at the end, so it's like in the factory that would cut its own thread. Probably requires a bit of alignment. He says down, up, up. Okay. Up more. Okay. Let's try that. It's not perfectly aligned, but I think it will find its own home. There we go. She's going in now. Don't go mad, it's only plastic, Andy. There we go. That's in. Now, I know it's only ducting, and the engine air intakes, the airbox, was dead easy. But the CVT drive, or PVT as Polaris call it, the ducting for that is, to be fair, a bit haphazard. It's not really ideal, and I wanted to show you how it goes in so that you know that when you've put it back in, it's in the right place. Yeah, it's all fingers and thumbs down there. You can't see a lot. I hope the camera work was okay for you. Now, the next job is to fit the pulleys, the primary sheave, secondary sheave, as I call them, and the belt in one hit. Boom, right? And then we can just do them up and forget all about it. I'm not servicing the CVT drive system. I'm not even going to bother measuring the belt. That's not what this job's about. This job was to fix the gearbox, and the gearbox only. This is a budget repair. I'm quite sure that in the future there will be videos covering the full overhaul of the Polaris variable transmission system, pulling the sheaves apart, checking all the weights, bushes, all that kind of stuff. But it's not in this video. We haven't got time for that. Okay, let's crack on. Now, before I forget, we've still got the rust to try and clean up in there. Otherwise, it's going to be a pain getting it back on. That's loads better. A couple more minutes of that, we'll be laughing. How does that look? Oh, significantly better. I'll show you, because you want to see, don't you? There you go. Managed to get pretty much all the rust out of there. That's just a bit of discoloration on the surface. And it didn't take long with the wire brush. That's a win. Let's not forget those two little tiny shims. Now, when they came off the sheave, it sort of gave me the impression that they went right back here, but they don't. Based on their diameter, they just sit there, look. So we've now got those on. Now, do I grease the shaft? Do we put some grease on it to try and stop any corrosion in the future? Don't know. I mean, you might want to. I'm not going to bother because it didn't have any grease on before. And I know on the crank it's a tapered fit. Maybe not so much on here, but no, we'll leave them dry. They're clean, that's the important thing. And there is a little bit of oil on there, I suppose, from when we've been working on it. So we'll just pop the sheaves on. Alrighty, now I'm not entirely sure whether this is even possible, but no, my luck it won't be, but we'll give it a go. So we'll pop the belt on there, making sure we get the arrows in the correct direction that we put on earlier on. And then grab the primary, get the belt onto the primary, and then see if I can hook all of that in there. Jeez, we've got suspension pieces and all sorts in the way. Those that have done this before are going, Andy, you can't do that. I don't know, to be fair. Maybe we can. Right. What are we hung up on? Are we hung up on anything? No, we're not. There we go. Right, so let's try and get the primary on. Oh, yes! That was a bit of a win, wasn't it? Okay. So it's the long bolt for the primary. And there was a space, well, there's a little collar that sits in there as well. That was still on the bolt. So we'll stick all that in there. And then for the secondary sheave, it's a much shorter bolt. Remember this one we were doing the pulling? Now that did have thread lock on it. This one didn't. Do put thread lock on. We should do. We should put thread lock on there. So I'll go and grab the thread lock. And then we'll go and find out a torque setting for these two pulleys. Then we've got to consider how the hell we're going to hold them stationary. Oh God. That's going to be interesting, isn't it? Okay. Thread lock. Okay, we'll use some of that blue Forge K120. Been using that throughout this project. There we are, that's plenty. Stick him in there. In you go, pal. Why are you not picking up? Okay. Maybe it wants to go a bit further on. Magic hour time. Whoo! Right, you're on the tripod now because of all the vibrational, because you were actually magnetized to the vehicle. Yeah. Okay. So what's going on there? Belt's not caught on the cover. It does seem to be in alignment, but there's quite a bit of room behind the gear. Let's try it on there. That one's all the way on. Now this one needs to go further back. Let's just give it a turn, see if that's going to help us to get on there. Hey, Torchy, hang in there, buddy. Oh, there you go. That was easy. It's definitely easier than what I thought. Okay, in we go. Had a long way to go, didn't it? Right, let's go and find out what the torque settings are for these, and I'll try and work out a plan on how to hold these stationary whilst we torque them up. This is going to be great fun. Now, looking in the manual, I found a discrepancy which I think you should be aware of. So we've got here the secondary, or the driven clutch, as Polaris call it. The centre bolt, the bolt that holds it onto the input shaft of the gearbox, they've got on this page as 51.5 Newton meters. However, if we go further down, and you've got to bear with me on this, all right? In fact, just as we're passing, just to check this one. So the primary sheave, the one that's on the crankshaft, that's the bolt for that, number 1, and that they state here is 63.5. So primary is 63.5. Secondary, we found one mention, one spec of 51.5. But if we continue down here, and I want to get to the end of the servicing of the secondary clutch. You can spend a lot of time trawling through a manual, can't you, trying to find the information that you need. Here, look. Okay, so this is the driven clutch. Okay. And these are the two halves. This is looking from the back. And number 1 is driven clutch bolt, and here it shows it as 74 Newton meters. There, look. What is it? 51.5 or 74? Be nice to know, wouldn't it? I think we'll go for 51.5. We don't want to over torque the bolt and strip it. So am I missing something? I know it says non-EBS at the top, but surely that wouldn't make that much difference to the torque of the bolt. Don't know. So primary we'll do at 63.5 and secondary 51.5 Newton meters. Yes, that's what I use. Okay, well that's not too high. I mean, I've worked on other ROVs side by sides where equivalent torque for those retaining bolts or nuts is, you know, massively higher than that. So hopefully we won't have too much of a problem holding those sheaves stationary. Not on this job anyway. Okay, here we go. I've spotted a possible opportunity. I'm going to use the two wedges that I made for that one that way, for the engine, when we're propping the engine up. I just wonder if that's going to be enough to hold that in place. It's only 60 Newton meters, it's not horrific. It could all go tragically wrong. Nearly. Come on, 60 Newton meters, is not that much. There we go. Well, that worked a treat. But only just. Oh. Right, secondary sheave coming up. I have a suspicion this one won't be quite so easy, to be fair. Get rid of that extension bar. I thought I might need it, but I don't think I do. Yeah, that's not going to stay put, is it? Nowhere near. So, could we put something off the edge of here onto the back of the chassis of just the right length? Maybe a piece of wood. Is that going to be strong enough to cope? I think it will be. I don't think I've got anything else. I've got a Y tool with the two pins, but I think it's not deep enough, and of course I need to be here anyway with the torque wrench. Let me have a think. Here goes nothing. 235mm long piece of wood wedged in there. Will that work? Oh, I guess it will. Well, that was a win. So there you go. Special tool number 36B, 235mm in length on this particular machine, this model, will wedge between the top of the secondary pulley and the back of the chassis, one of the uprights. Free, right? Free special tool. Can't go wrong. Now, I've taken a quick look at all the parts we've got left. And to be fair, there's nothing to stop us starting the engine up now. Hopefully. And I can give it a bit of a rev, and we should see that Polaris variable transmission work. And hopefully nothing's going to fly off. And then, if I'm happy with it, we can put the cover on. Okay, let's see what happens. What a machine, honestly. Okay, so we will turn the key. Keys on. Nothing on the dash. Ah! Battery! Got to plug the battery back on. What a plonker. Right, I'm coming in. Need more space. Now, there is no oil in the gearbox yet, so we don't want to run it for very long. Momentary, I think, will be the word. Just to make sure that everything's plumbed up correctly before we fit that last cover. Jeez, yes, that's another great example of what you would give a good clean with a white. Actually, it's not too bad on the underside, but always make sure you've got good battery terminals. Modern vehicles with electronic fuel injection, that kind of stuff, they need to have good connections to their batteries. Otherwise, lots of bad things can happen. And I mean lots. Okay, I want that round there like that. It is the positive. It's also quite badly worn on the bolt. Pretty standard for farmers. Can't use the combination end because it's too badly worn. That's as good as it gets. It'll only spark, won't it? Should be right. Okay, let's try again. Should be able to hear the fuel pump as well when we fire up. Ready? 1, 2. Oh. Nice. And we have a dash. Okay, right. Let's see if it's going to just crank. Are we in neutral? Oh, we're in reverse. We don't want to be in reverse. Yes, there you go. Look, we're in neutral. No fire. Ben's still grinding. Jeez. Okay, let me get the tripod set up. We'll give it a crank. That'll do nicely. I like it. The ignition key switch, the main switch, is seriously faulty. And looking in the parts box, I wonder what this was. Craig has sent a replacement ignition switch. That'll be on another video. We'll do a separate video on that. So there'll be another one repairing the Polaris, the Poolaris. But just for this reference, the part number, and it is a genuine Polaris part. There you go, look. Part number for this particular vehicle, 4081557. Maybe you can see that. Maybe you can't. I don't know. Come on, camera, focus. No, too close. Okay, so 4081557. Switch key, 4 position, ATV stroke MT. Right, put that back in the box. That's a job for maybe tomorrow. Okay, let's get the cover put back on. Woohoo! Now, if I remember rightly, this was a pain in the ass to get off because of that suspension mount there. Probably the engine guy and the transmission guy didn't speak to the suspension guy. I don't know. That's from ViceScript Garage. I'm sorry, I've just been watching loads of his videos and I've just picked it up. Okay, Derek, you're to blame. Alright, top bloke there. Just watching one of his videos today. So the question is, can we get that down there? I'm sure all the Polaris mechanics out there will be like, Andy, there's a trick. We're not far off. We're not far off at all. There has to be a better way of producing vehicles than this. We're about half an inch off. Oh, there you go. Ooh, right. Success. Now there is a seal in there. But Just make sure the seals. Jeez, come back. The seal's on the rear one. Yes, seal's fine. Because I pushed it all the way in earlier on. So now what we need is some screws. So we'll put a couple in around the place. I think it's springing back because of that seal. Just wind them in a little bit. That's that one. Bit of a Heath Robinson cover, isn't it? It's not very positively affixed. Should I say seated? I think is the word. Wow. Oh, that's not even going to stay in there, is it? Oh man. Hang on then. Let's see if we can get one down there. Get that buzzed in. Ooh. Ah, my socket's gone. Who else wants a screw? There's one in there. Looks easy. Always do the easy ones first, right? And don't overdo them because these are just screws into plastic. And we know what the plastic's like. Okay, leave that one. Oh, that's just going round and round and round. That can't be right. Let's try another one somewhere else first. Sorry, Torchy, I'm going to have to borrow you. What is he doing in there? He's making all sorts of weird noises, is Ben. Okay, this one is right down there. There we go. Release. Push in. Thank you. Okay. Going in. I think from the top, maybe from the bottom. Okay, that's that one in. We've got two left. One that we know goes there. It's not playing ball. Ah, there's one right down there. Holy moly. You better get it under the seat. Oh. Ow. I think we got it. Okay, buzzy up time. Okay, let's try the troublesome one again. That may have aligned a bit better now. Who knows? Why are you not going in? Whew. It's in. All right, let's give the ones that I can get to a bit of a tweak just to make sure that they're tight. I'm pretty sure that they all are. Yes. Ooh, don't like going into plastic. I have a KTM motorbike, 640 LC4, which has a lot of these fasteners into plastic. It's just screws, and it's a nightmare of a thing. You get like 6 goes, and that's it. Everything's worn out. That'll do. Happy with that. Whew, good job. Now, if you remember on the first video, episode 1, I had to remove the rear shocks and the outer knuckles to remove the drive shafts, right, the rear drive shafts, which didn't play ball. The chalices ended up staying in place and I had to cut them out, and you'll have to watch the video to see all that palaver. We don't have any parts. The replacement drive shafts haven't yet turned up, but I want to get this vehicle mobile to get it out of the workshop. It's 4-wheel drive, so I can still drive it on the front wheels. Oh, I need to fit that pin, that roll pin. I will do that. Don't need to watch that. What I'll do is I'll get the rear end put together. I can refit the knuckles temporarily to be able to fit, that's the hubs as well, fit the wheels and get the back end back on the ground. I can then move it slightly, elevate and remove the front right hand wheel, pop the roll pin in, put the wheel back on, and that will be it for now. I'll do some more work on it tomorrow. I'll fit the ignition switch tomorrow. And the front left drive shaft. You know that circlip we're on about? Hang on, I can show you one. So here's part of one of the rear ones. So this little circlip here, the left front drive shaft, all on its own, has popped out on its splines. It's just sat there loose. So at the moment there's no drive to the front left wheel. And I don't think the front diff has a diff lock. So in which case it won't drive on just front wheel drive until I fix that problem. And it needs an ignition switch as well. Okay, I'm going to put the rear suspension back together off camera. You don't need to see that. If you want to see how it all comes apart, that's in episode 1. Because, you know, I want to keep these videos moving on. There's no need to see stuff that I've already done. So I will see. In fact, Holly's here today. She's not really, but you know what I mean. Holly, you got a message for the viewers? Oh, you always have something to say to the viewers. Okay, sounds promising. All right, Holly, over to you.
Andy.
Yeah?
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Lose the damn ponytail for all our sakes.
Aww. Thanks, Holly. I really appreciate that. Anyway, the back end is back together, except for the drive shafts, and we have more bad news. Yeah, let me show you. Okay, so on a positive note, the back end, like I say, is all back together, bar the drive shafts. I've even fixed the mud flaps because they were all hanging off. You know, because that kind of stuff really bugs me. I know I won't get paid for that kind of thing, but that's all right. You know, got to send it back reasonable. But I'll put the drive pin in. Used Big Nasty for that one. Now, if I just put the light on for you, can you see what's missing in there? This is the front left output for the drive shaft. What's missing inside that diff? It's all shiny. Yeah. Okay, let's go have a look on the bench. This is the front left drive shaft. This is the end that had jumped out. And those splines, well, they should look a bit like that, really. You know, nice and sharp and lots of material. This is a classic Polaris problem, right? Corrosion. You've seen it on the rear drive shafts. And you can see where it's been rubbing on the splines. Just chewing away. These splines have eaten all those female splines away from the inside of the diff. It's completely smooth in there. This is all that's left here. And of course the circlip has gone completely. That's on holiday. So, more to do. Now, all that's left to do is to add some oil to the transmission. So let's take a quick look in the service manual and see what Polaris tells us to use. Here we go. Okay, it's under the servicing section of the service manual. And it says here, AGL 2878068, comes in a quart carton, and the capacity, in my language, is 1200 millilitres. Right, I'll get that sorted out. Now, we've got the vehicle on level ground, which is good. You need to make sure that that's the case, otherwise you'll overfill it or underfill it. Now, you've got to take your time with this because it's going to backflow if we're not careful. Very slowly. There'll be some editing going on here. Also a good idea to make sure that breather pipe is clear if you have this job to do, because that will definitely help the oil to go in rather than sort of build pressure inside the box and bubble back. So I've got a litre here for now, and then we'll have another 200 ml to add. If you see it running out, let me know, won't you? It's going in a lot quicker than I thought, actually. It's pretty good. And it's important when engineers are designing this kind of stuff to have the oil fill pretty quickly into the gearbox or the engine or whatever it is that you're filling up, differential unit, because you know time is money, and the more labour time it takes to do this particular job, the more expensive it is to run the vehicles for the customers. Right, that's a litre. I will just pop and get some more. Back in a second. Right, the last 200 millilitres. This is where it's probably going to overflow a bit. Oh, look at that. Excellent. Let's have a look and see how low it is below the fill bung. Oh yeah, plenty of room. It looks like a little O-ring on there. Can't replace it, don't have another one, but would recommend that you do. Right, that's in. Let's go and find out the torque setting for that. Okay, oil is in. Boom, boom, boom. Scrolling across, trying not to touch the text because you know what happens with the text. So annoying. Transmission drain and fill bungs, 19 Newton meters. Like I said, Fred. 19. Not a lot. Oh, wow. That's it. So I've messaged Craig, sent him some photos. Bad news, Craig. Need more parts. I imagine he'll try and source a good second-hand front diff. So we'll have that to fit, which means taking that roll pin back out. Hey, but we know how quickly we can do it now. Big Nasty smashed it out last time and put it back in really easily. So it's already going to move. It's going to pop out easy. Of course it is. Splines will be seized, but the roll pin will come out nice. We've got the other drive shaft to take out, replacement diff to go in, and there'll be a new drive shaft to go front left. And I've got an ignition switch. Oh, and the rear wheel bearings on both sides are completely shot as well. So there'll be a video on replacing the rear wheel bearings as well. So this vehicle is proving a fantastic platform on how to repair your Polaris 570 side-by-side. Who would have thought? Thanks, Polaris. Okay, crew. Well, in this video, we've done what we set out to do, and that was to refit the gearbox back to the vehicle. Obviously, it's going to be quite a long video. My apologies. I've done lots of filming over 2 days. I've done some editing in the mornings. It hasn't been full days. But this little mini-series of repair to the reverse gear on this vehicle, I'm hoping will be helpful to everybody that watches it. If not, just interesting or even just entertaining. Who knows? Craig was a great laugh to work with, I must admit. I had to edit out some of the profanities, to be honest, because YouTube would have barred me immediately. But no, it was a great day. And it's gone back together really well. And, you know, when I started out on this repair, I had no idea what Polaris vehicles were like to work on. A lot of mechanics that I speak to had said, "Oh, they're horrible. You don't want to go anywhere near them." So I was in a bit of a mindset, a negative mindset, but with the help of the service manual, which is critical to be fair, if you've not done a job like this before, you do need the service manual. Now that it's done and it's all back together, it was all right. I mean, there was a few dodgy bits, getting the drive shafts out and things, which is, you know, Polaris inherent. It's just part of their design to cause you problems, it seems. But overall, you know, the gearbox strip and replacing the gears and putting it back together, it was actually not a difficult job at all. Great to have Craig here to help, but in reality, pretty simple. So maybe I'll be working on a few more Polarises in the future. Who knows? Anyway, if you've not yet subscribed, and I know that 2/3 of you that watch my videos have not yet subscribed, if you all subscribed, I'd have probably 2 or 3 plaques from YouTube by now. So if you wouldn't mind, please, it's free, it costs nothing. Click on the subscribe button. It really helps the channel. You don't have to turn on notifications if you don't want, and then that way you won't get bugged by all the videos that I put up. But please, you know, it really helps small channels like mine. You can also help, if you wish, by sharing a video on your social media platform. Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. That gets a few more viewers to the channel as well. If you want to support the channel financially, you can do that through Patreon or through PayPal. If it's PayPal, please use the email address on the screen right now, but don't send it as a donation, please. Send it as a payment. I'm not a registered charity. PayPal won't accept donations under my account. One last thing you could do if you like, as an alternative, is you could send me a letter or something through the post. Maybe it's an old tool that you've been given or come across that you'd love me to feature on the channel. I can't send it back to you, but I'll be very happy to use that tool in the workshop in the future, as and when jobs require. The PO box address to send letters or parcels is on the screen right now. And you'll be sure to get a shout out on one of the future live streams as well. And you'll see the tool in many videos in the future. Okay, crew, I've got a lot of packing up to do again. I'll see you next time. Cheers, over and out. And we get the flip up again.
Oh!
Oh,